Hello, good morning, everyone. Happy new week. Welcome to week 4. Like, time really flies. We've already done week 1, week 2, week 3, and now we're on week 4. And before you know it, the 6-week program will come to pass. So, welcome. And this week, we're going to be looking at communication and public speaking. What It's on. Okay. So, communication and public speaking. Please, I need one of that curriculum. So, I'm going to share my slide now. If you're watching, I hope you have been inspired and empowered by these trainings. Week 1, we talked about self-awareness, the different types of self-awareness, the internal and external. Week 2, we talked about mindsets, the growth and the fixed mindset. And week 3, we talked about, what did we talk about last week? Goal setting and vision board, which was very practical. And I hope that you have been able to set your goals and create a vision board. So this week will be on communication and public speaking. So this is the material that we're using, the personal development curriculum. So I will share my slide. We will look at part 1 and 2 today. And then tomorrow we will continue until we get to the last part before our assessment. Okay. Welcome. And this is, if you're just watching for the first time, my name is Ogobweni and I am the trainer for this program. And this is part of my 6-week teaching practice exercise by University of Lagos teaching practice exercise. This is part of my postgraduate diploma in education program at the University of Lagos. So thank you for being in my class. I'm majoring in adult education, and that is why we're here talking about personal development. So the objective of this lesson is to equip teachers, parents, mentors, coaches, adults, and pupils with foundational knowledge of effective communication principles. Every kind of communication, there are principles behind communication. And when you understand it, it helps to make your communication effective. So when people talk about here, communication and public speaking, they think that we are going to teach you how to speak. What we are actually going to be doing here is to share principles with you that you can apply to make your speaking effective, because we are already speaking. Secondly, to develop practical verbal and nonverbal communication skills. So we're going to be learning about verbal communication, which everybody, right now I'm talking is verbal. There is a nonverbal communication. People are speaking, whether you're using your words or not. People are continually speaking. So we're also going to learn about that part of communication, which is nonverbal. We're going to be able to build confidence in public speaking for various contexts and to foster a culture of ethical and constructive communication. Well, not just in the school environment, in workplace, in the home, just everywhere. There is a culture of ethical and constructive communication because not every communication is ethical. Not every communication is constructive. So we want to be able to, foster that culture of ethical and constructive communication. And finally, to empower individuals to express themselves clearly, listen actively, and engage meaningfully. We are already communicating, so we can as well make the communication effective and meaningful. Is that not so? So I want to welcome our physical participants. So this is a hybrid class. There is physical and then there is, virtual. So if I'm looking away, just know that I'm communicating with the people in class. But we are all learning something together. So today I don't want to start with a case study. I want to go into the class and then afterwards we will read a case study to see how it ties up. What is communication and why it matters? So, what is communication?
Relating people verbally or non-verbally, passing messages across. It should be even through written, but communication is actually passing.
Yeah.
Passing have to do with the person. So it could be through written, communication is passing messages across in a way that the other person also understands what you're communicating.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Imagine after saying this, what you just said now, and I'm like, okay, I just communicated. I just communicated. So you might just say, well, what did I do wrong? I'm like, what did I do wrong? But I just actually communicated because your body language, facial expression, they are all part of communication. Communication is more than just talking. It's a process of conveying information, ideas, feelings, opinions through various means to achieve understanding. It's a two-way street. They said at the end of any communication, if understanding is not achieved, communication did not take place. So we have to be able to achieve understanding at the end of any communication. This is just like what we talked about in goal setting. If there is no deadline, no date to your goal, it is not, you have not set a goal. It's still a wish. So if there's no understanding at the end of every communication, communication is not achieved. So there has to be understanding. You have to have an understanding between the two parties or three parties or whoever it is that is engaging in it. So there are different types of communication. Let me look at this. Communication model. There are different types of communication models. There is a sender. Right now, I'm the sender of this communication. The person sending the message, you are the receiver. You that is watching me, you are the receiver. Then there is the message. What I'm communicating, what we are learning is the message. This is the information being shared. Then there is a channel, the way the message is delivered. Example, speaking, writing, visuals. We're using different modes right now. Speaking, there is the presentation slide. This is a visual. So we're using different modes of communication. Now there is feedback, the response or the reaction to the message. There should be a response, like, are you getting it? Are you not getting it? Is it impactful? Is it not impactful? There is a feedback. And then there is a noise. This is anything that interferes with the message. All of those ones are noise. So they are all within the communication model. And there are forms of communication. We just, introduced it. The verbal, what I'm saying right now, the nonverbal, my body language, my facial expression, yeah, gestures, the way I'm, saying it. My tone, the tone matters because I might be saying something with the wrong tone and I'm passing the wrong message. And I can also be saying something with the very calm tone, but I'm still passing a message. So the tone matters. These are all, voices, of communication. And then there is the visual communication using images, presentation slides, graphics, visual aids to communicate. Because people that are deaf, they have a way that you communicate with them, use visuals and all. So these are, different types of communication. So why is it effective? Why is effective communication important? Not just why communication is important. Why is effective communication important? It helps to build stronger relationship, not just in the school, but at home, in the family, in the workplace, in the marketplace, everywhere. It helps to build stronger relationship. It helps to resolve conflicts peacefully. It enhances learning and understanding because if the communication is effective, learning and understanding is enhanced. It boosts confidence and self-expression. So if you understand the different methods of communication, effective communication, it boosts your confidence in communicating and in your self-expression because you know how to do it. And finally, it leads to better outcomes in all aspects of life. It really does because where is it that we don't need communication? We need communication everywhere. You're going to go and shop, you're going to wherever, at work, on the road, anywhere you are, you need communication. And one of the reasons why sometimes you see people fight on the street is because of poor communication. The way somebody spoke to another person, you're driving, even this morning while I was on my way here, I don't know what happened, but a woman was coming and the car was moving. I don't know what the car did. I wasn't really paying attention. Next thing, the woman brought out hand and was like, I'm like, that's communication. That's communication. It's very negative. Even if the person did something, it's not a good way to communicate, to get the information. So it leads to better outcome in all aspects of life. So let's get into part one, and we're going to treat parts 1 and 2, and then we'll continue another with part 3 tomorrow. The power of listening and understanding your audience. So in communication, it's not just enough for you to just come and start talking. It's also two-way. I think we'll start there. Communication is two-way. There is you that is giving out, and then there is you that is also receiving, listening, because you have to really be able to connect with your audience. And the way you connect is by listening to them. And the listening we're talking about is not just what they say. We talked about the body language, their facial expression. If you're teaching somebody something, they don't need to say, I disagree, before you actually know that they disagree. The way they just squeeze their face, it tells you something. That is your ability to be able to catch that and address it is what makes communication effective. So when you're communicating, you're also engaging with your audience. You're also looking out for their facial expression. If they are getting it, like the way they lean in, the way they are, nodding, they are present. So you're able to connect with them. So you also have to understand your audience, how they, their demographic, the age, because the age of your audience also matters how you communicate with them. You cannot be sharing high level information with younger audience. They will not, they will not be able to identify with what you're saying or apply it. So your communication has to be able to come down to the level of the audience that you are addressing. Remember, the aim of effective communication is to get understanding, to, reach that level of understanding. So if you come and speak big English to these young people and they're not able to understand you, they cannot apply whatever it is that you do not communicate. To yourself, you might just feel, yes, it was a powerful message, but if there's no understanding, they cannot apply it, then the communication was just, wasted. So you have to be able to know, your audience, and then the power of listening to your audience. So beyond speaking, hearing and connecting is very important. I cannot see the people behind, the virtual audience, but I can see Coach Kemi, and the way Coach Kemi is responding to this call, to this training, I know, whether I'm connecting or not. So the power of listening, active listening, paying full attention, understanding, responding appropriately. You can't be speaking and your eyes is just on top. You're not even looking, at the faces and the people that you're speaking to. You should be able to, someone said, like when you're reading some of these public speaking books, they will tell you if it's a large audience and you come in, try and start with something to connect with the audience, like a story. That's why we put case studies, first, because it's actually a wonderful connector when you share stories. That's why people start with a joke. That connection, it breaks down, the people that are already locked up can open up a little bit. And then when you start communicating, they always advise, as you're looking at the audience, when you see that one or two people that are giving you that attention, that you should just zoom in and focus on them, and not that you don't look at other people, but once they want, look at them, because you also need the morale. Because if everybody's like this, look at, like, you feel like somebody is hitting you. So you have to be able to zoom into that one or two that is showing full, attention. So you too have to, actively listen, to what they are saying, to how they are responding to you. If you share a joke and they do not laugh, then something is wrong with that joke. You just yeah, maybe you have taught something, because there are some things that might be a joke to you, but it's not a joke to some people. So that will also be like yes, for you to switch, because while you're on that stage, you can be flexible. If it's not going the way that you have, you can actually adjust to see how it works and watch the mood. And once the room is okay, you can now begin to flow. So you can't just say, oh, I've already delivered I'm just going to speak it the way. So the power of listening, it actually shows respect and empathy. When you listen to your audience, they feel respected and they feel connected. Like, you feel empathy is the ability to feel the feeling of other people. You can be able to identify with the way they are feeling, what they are going through. So they feel that you can't just come and just speak over people. That's what this whole thing is about. You have to listen to them. And the listening that we are talking about is not always words. It's always in actions. Yes. So the power of listening, it helps you gather accurate information and avoid misunderstanding. Yes. And it encourages others to open up. Because when you're able to say, you hear people, even preachers, when they are preaching, they will say, I hear someone saying, they will say something. Nobody said anything out loud. And once they address it, you see everything just ease. Maybe you're talking about a particular, topic, and somebody has doubts inside, and you pick it up from the way that they are actually responding to you. You can say that they are not agreeing. So that can be addressed. And once that is addressed, other people, it helps other people to open up. So in understanding your audience, who are you talking to? What is their age? What is their knowledge level? What is their interest? What do they know? Or what do they need to know? How can you best reach them? The language, the examples, the tone that you need to use them. If I'm talking to a couple of preschoolers, I'm not going to be talking like, oh, children. Oh, you have to come down to their level. And if you're talking to adults, you can't just be saying, oh, children. You can't. So you have to know the people that you are talking to, their knowledge level, their age, their interest, because it will help you to be able to communicate with them in their level. So it helps you to tailor your message for maximum impact. Remember, at the end of all of this, we want to be able to achieve understanding. That is what we want to be able to achieve. Whether you're teaching older people, workers, children, at the end of whatever it is that you want to say to them, you want them to be able to gain understanding. That is the goal of every communication. Not just for you to come and show yourself and show your oratory skills. And at the end of the day, as you're leaving the stage, they can't actually say one thing they learned from what you said. That means that communication was not effective. So, the art of speaking clearly and the power of your voice. The voice that we use to speak is very important, Mastering your message, like clarity and voice. Under speaking clearly, there is articulation, your ability to speak your words clearly, not mumbling words. I'm sure you've heard people when they are trying to speak, is that they're trying to say so many things at the same time. You can actually articulate. You can actually pick your words one after the other. It's a training. You can learn it. It can be learned. Then you should be able to pace your words. Speak at a comfortable speed, not too fast, not too slow, just a relaxed mode. Right now, I'm speaking the way that I would use the same speed that I would use to communicate with another person, But when I started my communication journey recently, because I'm nervous, I find myself speaking faster. I don't know if it happens. You just speak faster because you just want to finish the class and close it. But when you're more comfortable, you can just be comfortable and speak at, a pace that, that is normal. Yes. Then the volume, you have to be heard without shouting or whispering. Sometimes people are now too calm and they're just like, what up, like they're talking to themselves. Like I experienced it recently. It was interesting. Somebody was just talking. Like I said, this person is actually talking to himself, So you should be able to use a volume that you will be heard, but you're not shouting and you're not whispering. So these are skills that you learn with practice. And then the pronunciation, you should be able to say your words correctly. There is no need trying to form phoneme, all these things that they teach children. Once you're able to pronounce your words correctly, phonetically, you are speaking good English. Is it not true? So you'll be able to speak your words, pronounce your words correctly. Don't mumble the words together. The power of your voice, the tone is very important. The emotion conveyed by your voice. Is it friendly? Is it serious? Is it encouraging? Is it condescending? So what is the tone of your voice? It's very important, the tone that you're using to speak. Even the pitch. the highness or lowness of your voice, it varies. It varies. Like, to maintain interest, you must be able to control pitch. You should know when to increase it. You should know when to be low. You should know, these are skills that you need to, learn with practice. And then there is inflection, changes in pitch and tone that adds meaning and emphasis. Like when you're telling a story, you should be able to know how to use, different pitch, different tones, particularly when it's not even about children, even with adults, it makes it more relatable. It makes the storytelling, more, you're able to connect more to the story. Oh, the expressions, these are part of the things that is important in communication. Now, you should be able to use pauses strategically for impact. You should know when to just pause and then when to continue, So these are the things that are important in your communication. So communication is not just coming out to talk. You should be able to, put all this in place, your body language, your tone, your voice, and how you connect with the people. So crafting your message and engaging in conversations, this is not also something that, I have to be on a stage to be able to learn how to communicate effectively. This can actually be just connecting with a friend, talking with a coworker, even talking with your children. You need this skill. A lot of parents don't know how to communicate with their children. In fact, I know a lot of parents that do not communicate with their children. The only thing that they say to their children, they just give instructions to their children. Have you done this? Have you eaten? Go and do this. Go. They actually do not sit down and have conversations. They do not communicate with their children. And it's not good. So in crafting your message and engaging in conversations, you need to be able to structure your message and so that you can be able to connect properly. Like this course, this training, it has a presentation slide. This is giving structure to my presentation. This is bringing structure, I'm not just coming to say different things. Like right now, we've talked about the objective. Now you know what you're learning and what you're going to get out of this learning. We started with what communication is. We talked about communication, different types of communication, modes of communication. Like, it's structured. You know what you're supposed to say per time. So you don't just come and begin from the last in the middle. So you have to plan the message before you begin to deliver it, so that by the time you finish, it is wholesome. Nothing is missing. So there is, need for proper planning. So in crafting the message, you have to be concise, get to the point, avoid unnecessary details. You have to be specific, use concrete examples and clear language. You have to be organized, structure your thoughts logically. Just like I just mentioned, example, there should be an introduction, the main point, the conclusion. So let there be a structure. Use simple language, avoid jargons, avoid big English. A lot of people like using big words, but if the people that you're talking to do not understand what you're saying, then the communication is not effective. Especially when speaking in public, use simple English. That's why I like the simplicity that we enjoy here at PDAC Foundation. Anybody can be able to take any course, read any of our books, and completely understand the concept that we are sharing, because we use simple English. Yes, we introduce new words, but we make it simple and not ambiguous. In engaging in conversations, ask open-ended questions to encourage dialogue. So if you want conversation, people, to talk and respond, even with your children, ask open-ended questions. Don't just say, how was school? They'll tell you, fine, close. You cannot encourage, it's not encouraging dialogue, but you can just say, oh, what made you happy today? What was the highlight of your, at school today? Open-ended, what do you feel about this? Open-ended questions. It encourages dialogue. Listen actively. Listen actively to responses. We've talked about it. When you're speaking, please don't be pressing your phone as somebody, you are communicating with somebody and you're pressing. It's so wrong on every level. It is so disrespectful and so wrong on every level. You have to give the person your full attention. If you want to be present, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Be present with that person. Let the person know that you are there, listening to that person and actively responding. One of the ways to let the person know that you're actively listening and responding is by repeating what they said when they finish saying something. And we do that in coaching. You'll be like, okay, if I hear you correctly, this is what you're saying. You just repeat everything that the person has said. It gets that person, it lets that person know that, yes, you hear me. I remember when I'm coaching my clients and I use that, I do that and I repeat everything. Some of the responses I get is, oh my God, you actually paid attention. You heard everything. I said, that's why I'm here. You can't be a coach without listening actively. You can't be an effective communicator without listening actively to other people's, responses. Now, offer relevant contributions. Show genuine interest. When you're talking to somebody and the person is not interested, you know it by the way that they react to you. Even children. It's true. You're talking to somebody, the way they are reacting, they are busy doing other things. Yeah. So show genuine interest when you are communicating. If you have something in your hand that you're doing, you can just say, please hold on a bit, let me just finish this. And then you turn to the person and show that person that genuine interest that you want to know what they're saying. It puts that other person's self-image. Know when to speak and know when to listen. This is something that we all have to learn. We are all work in progress because it's not everything that we hear that we're supposed to respond to. Sometimes people just want to share for us to listen, not for us to give advice. So know when to just listen and know when to speak. I think that we are going to end here. Understanding body language. After this part, we will read our case study. And then we can take questions if you have any. The language of your body. Like I said, we are always communicating, whether through words or through our body language, our facial expression, our tones. Body language is a powerful form of non-verbal communication. It often conveys more than words. The posture. If you're in class, the person slumps like this. The person is actually depressed. People that slumps like they are depressed. You have to sit confidently. How you stand or sit. Example, confident or slumped. It shows, it's a body language. You're telling something, you're saying something. If it's a job interview and you just walk in and you sit down in front of your examiner and you just slump like this. Like you have said something without even knowing. So you have to sit up with confidence, square your shoulder, sit up, with confidence. The posture matters. The gesture, your hand and arm movements, your facial expression, smile, frown, raise eyebrow. All of these are forms of communication. People are speaking. Particularly us parents or people that work with young people. And when they are young, they don't have so much words to express the way they are feeling. Young people use a lot of nonverbal communication to communicate. And if you're not trained you will not hear them. When I see parents struggling with their maybe young teenage, preteens and teens, attitudes and all, I tell them it didn't start today. They've been speaking. But you're not listening. They go inside, bang the door. They just said something, but you did not hear what they said. And then they continue doing it, or you're talking to them, they are walking away, they are speaking. Most of them, young people, they do not have the vocabulary to express what they are feeling, or they might be afraid to say it, but they always talk with their body language. It's important that we address it. Every bank's door is a form of communication that should be addressed. You should find out what caused that. Once that thing is addressed, the banging of door will stop. So, facial expression, the smiles, the frown, the raised eyebrow, eye contact. It's very, very important. Direct, indirect, or avoided, say something. Proximity, how close or far you stand from each other, is also saying something in terms of body language. Okay, now the final part is interpreting and creating positive non-verbal cues. Reading between lines and projecting positivity. The essence of this, as I said earlier, is for us to learn these things and begin to apply it. And then so that we can also identify it and know how to address it when we are communicating, not just public speaking in a public place, but in your everyday communication with your peers, your family, co-workers at the supermarket, and all of that. Interpreting nonverbal cues. Look for consistency between words and body language. Recognize signs of engagement. Example, nodding, leaning in, or disinterest. Example, fidgeting, looking away. You know, when they are engaged, they are nodding, they are leaning in, you can see that the interest is there. When they are disinterested, they are looking away, they're doing other things. Be aware of cultural differences in body language. There are different cultures, they have different, yes. For instance, let me say, for example, now, a very common one in terms of greeting. You see, in the East, they don't bow to greet, they just greet. And if you're in the East and you move to Lagos and you see an elderly person here and you just greet the person, that person feels insulted, feels like you're insulting them. So we have to really be aware of those cultural differences, because it's not an insult, that's the way they greet, you know. So, and then there are other examples, I just use this general example so that we don't classify everybody.
Just touch their hearts.
Yes.
They're not, you don't know what they're doing.
Yes, you think it's something else, it's true. So we should also be aware of all of those things. There are different other examples. Creating positive non-verbal communication. So maintain open and confident posture. You know, when you're talking to somebody and the person is like this, that person is closed. Do you know? If you're talking to a teenage and the person is just like folding hands like this, the person is closed. They're not hearing you. Find a way to get them to open up. Yes. And then find a confident posture. Let them sit up, you know. So that's maintain open and confident posture. Because whatever you're saying to them in that state, they are not hearing you. They are closed, like literally closed. That's why even in church, you know, your posture also determines how you receive messages. And you can also note that when somebody is speaking and then they start saying something that you're not in agreement with, you see people, their position will just change. As in they've closed, they're not hearing you again, they just closed up. So just when you see that, they may not say anything, but you that know these things will now understand, okay, so where did I lose you? You can now ask.
Sometimes, try to reason with them, maybe they didn't agree on your
Yes,
that will create noise in the process because they are missing out on you.
it's true.
Or it's holding on you.
Yeah. So being able to identify it and address it will help, the people that you're communicating with. Because remember, I will keep going back. The goal of the communication is to achieve understanding. So if there is no understanding, so whatever it is that we're trying to communicate, we have to make sure that at the end of it, that the receiver gains that understanding. So use appropriate eye contact to show engagement. Look at people's faces and eyes as you communicate. This is something that we have to teach even young people intentionally, because even in relationship, even in helping young people, in relationships, whether emotional, you have to be able to look people in the eyes and speak. People that abuse young people, one of the ways that they know the people to prey on is when it comes to eye contact. When they see that that person is not confident, you just look at their eyes and they look down, they see that person as a prey. But if you're looking at the person and the person is looking back at you, they know that this one, we can't do anything with this person. Yeah. So we have to really teach young people in eye contact. When I was in uni, I used to use eye contact a lot, like put my eye inside your eye like this. So what are you saying? You just see them, they'll start looking down. They don't even know what to say again. They'll lose confidence and walk away. So it's important that we teach. Welcome. Welcome.
My God.
So, yeah, class is on. Yeah.
I said I want to do physical today.
Welcome. But we're just rounding off. This is the last slide.
Okay.
So, in creating positive nonverbal communication, we've talked about maintaining open and confident posture, use appropriate eye contact to show engagement, smile genuinely to convey warmth and approachability. At least you should be able to. I think I've met people that, like, you cannot really approach them because they are not really smiling. I know that everybody is not smiling like me, but at least just show some friendly, bring down that heavy look, yes, to convey warmth and approachability. Use natural, expressive gestures, and then lean slightly forward to show interest. So we are going to stop here. From next tomorrow, we'll look at overcoming fear and building confidence. Ooh, they say that fear, apart from the fear of death itself, the second highest thing that people are afraid of is public speaking. Yes. People would rather die than speak in public.
Wow.
Yes. Than stand in front of people and speak. Before we close, let me read the case study so that we can tie everything together and see how, this was practically applied. Okay, so our case study is not on the slide, it's from the curriculum. I'm reading from the curriculum. The power of effective communication. Meet Norma, a young entrepreneur who started a small business selling eco-friendly products in her community. She had a passion for sustainability and wanted to inspire others to join her cause. However, she faced a challenge. Many people in our community weren't aware of the importance of eco-friendly products, and she struggled to convince them to try her products. So you can see we are applying effective communication in marketing and awareness. So what's the challenge? Norma realized that she needed to improve her communication skills to effectively convey her message and persuade her audience. She attended a workshop on verbal communication where she learned about the importance of speaking clearly, using persuasive tone, crafting her message, and engaging in conversations. These are things that we've already treated here. What was the solution? Norma applied the skills that she learned in her business. Here is what she did. She spoke clearly. She practiced articulating her words, speaking at a moderate pace, and using pauses for emphasis. When explaining the benefits of our product, she said, "Our eco-friendly bags are made from recycled materials, and they are durable, affordable, and good for the environment." She was clear and specific. So like, buy our bag, it will help you, it's important. She was clear and specific. So she used persuasive tones. Norma used a friendly and enthusiastic tone to engage her audience. She said, "Imagine a world where we reduce plastic waste and we protect our planet. Our products can help make that a reality." So she crafted her message. Norma structured her message to appeal to her audience interests. She explained how her product could help them save money, reduce waste, and contribute to a sustainable future. And finally, she engaged in conversations. Norma asked open-ended questions to encourage discussion and listened actively to her customers' concerns. She responded thoughtfully, addressing their questions and providing solutions. What was the result? Shay? Norma's business flourished. She effectively communicated her message, and her community began to understand the importance of eco-friendly products. Her sales increased, and she built a loyal customer base. People appreciated her passion, knowledge, and ability to explain complex issues in simple terms. So what's the lesson that we are learning here? Norma's story teaches us the power of effective communication. By clearly speaking, using a persuasive tone, crafting our message, and engaging in conversations, we can convey our ideas and passions. We can build strong relationships. We can persuade others to join our cause, and we can achieve our goals and make a difference. So, your turn now. Reflect on your own communication styles. Your own communication style. How can you apply Norma's strategy to your daily life? Think about a situation where you want to persuade someone or convey an important message. Practice speaking clearly, using a persuasive tone. Okay, so think about that. How are you going to apply these strategies that Norma applied? Even in communicating the importance of personal development, we have to be able to state this clearly, because without personal development, you can't really you will not understand yourself. Self-awareness is the foundation, where you know yourself, your internal and external self, your likes, your dislikes, your interests, your strengths, your weaknesses, your self-perception. A lot of people don't know the way they see themselves. Do you know that? A lot of people don't know how they see themselves. And then the external awareness. A lot of people do not know how they impact on people. People impact on people in different ways. People leave your presence feeling depressed because of the way you speak and all, and they don't even know it. These are the importance of the benefits of personal development, So when we communicate these things, you need to know yourself, you need to understand, you need to know your gifts and talents, you need to begin to grow them, you need to know your mindset, your belief system, whether they are limiting or empowering you. So these are the things that when we effectively communicate, people know why they have to come to classes like this to learn personal development. So we have come to the end of today's class. And if you're watching online, put your questions on the YouTube chat box or the WhatsApp group. We are going to go offline now so we can have a discussion with the people in the class. Thank you once again for joining us. I hope you found this lesson impactful. We'll continue again tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to be virtual. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.